8. Visualize your higher self inside of you. There are two versions of yourself. The reactive self, driven by fear, doubt, ego, and survival instincts. The higher self, calm, conscious, wise, and aligned with your values. Most people live their lives ruled by the reactive self, not because they want to, but because they've never connected deeply with their higher self. But here's the truth. You already have everything you need to be who you're meant to be. You just need to remember it. And one of the most powerful tools to activate that memory is visualization. The science behind visualization: your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize something with emotion and repetition, your brain starts to build new neural pathways that match that vision. This is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you mentally rehearse. Athletes use visualization. Before high-stakes games, leaders visualize speaking calmly under pressure. Healers visualize their recovery. And you can visualize becoming the strongest, calmest, highest version of yourself. Who is your higher self? Your higher self is not a fantasy. It's the version of you that already exists, buried under fear, trauma, habits, and limiting beliefs. It's the you that responds instead of reacts, forgives instead of holding grudges, speaks with love instead of defensiveness, moves with intention instead of impulse, lives with purpose instead of pressure. Visualizing your higher self means connecting to this part of you on a daily basis so you can live from it, not just imagine it. How to visualize your higher self: find stillness, close your eyes, sit in silence, breathe deeply, let go of distractions. This is not a rushed practice. It's a sacred one. See them clearly. Imagine the highest version of yourself. How do they walk? How do they breathe? How do they speak when they're challenged? What choices do they make when life gets hard? What thoughts fill their mind on a daily basis? Visualize their posture, tone, energy, routines, and habits. Make it real, make it vivid, make it emotional. Step into their energy now. Imagine yourself stepping into their shoes. Feel what they feel. Think how they think. Say in your mind, I am this version now. Let that energy sink into your body. Carry it with you throughout your day. Revisit. Daily repetition is what turns visualization into transformation. The more you visualize, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you become. Do this every morning, even if just for 5 minutes. What to ask your higher self. You can also use your higher self as a guide whenever you're unsure or emotionally overwhelmed. Ask, what would my higher self do in this situation? How would my higher self respond to this conflict? What would they let go of right now? What would they say to the younger version of me who feels afraid? This inner dialogue can shift your emotional state instantly. Higher self versus ego. Sometimes it helps to understand your higher self by comparing it to your egoic mind. Ego, lower self. Higher self reacts from fear, responds from awareness, needs to be right, chooses peace, doubts, constantly trusts the process, seeks value with quiet confidence, feels separate, feels connected to all. The goal is not to destroy the ego, it's to let the higher self lead. Final thought: you are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember who you truly are. The higher self isn't a fantasy, it's the most authentic version of you. And when you see it clearly, feel it deeply, and choose it daily, your life begins to align with it. Don't just hope for transformation. Visualize it, embody it, live it. Because when you see your best self in your mind's eye long enough, you start becoming it in real life. Asterisk 9. Gratitude transforms focus. There is a powerful truth hidden in plain sight. What you focus on expands. Your mind is like a lens. Whatever you aim it at, you magnify. And in today's fast-paced, high-stress world, it's far too easy to focus on everything that's going wrong. What's missing? What hurts? What's unfair? And when your attention lives in that place for too long, it begins to shape your identity, your emotions, and your energy. But there's a simple, profound shift that changes your entire mental and emotional state. Gratitude. Why gratitude works? Gratitude isn't just a nice idea or spiritual fluff. It's one of the most scientifically studied, emotionally stabilizing tools available to you. Psychological studies have shown that regular gratitude practice reduces depression and anxiety, lowers stress and cortisol levels, increases dopamine and serotonin, your brain's feel-good chemicals, improves sleep, relationships, and emotional resilience. But more than all of that, gratitude trains your mind to look for what's right instead of obsessing over what's wrong. When you shift your focus to what you already have, instead of what you lack, You move from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And that shift changes everything. Your brain is a filter every day. Your brain processes billions of bits of information. But it doesn't show you everything. Cliff filters the world based on what it thinks matters to you. This is called the reticular activating system RAS, a part of your brainstem that acts like a mental spotlight. If you constantly focus on pain, problems, and fear, your RAS filters the world to confirm that reality. You become emotionally blind to what's good, working, or healing. But if you train your brain to focus on gratitude, your RAS starts pointing out beauty, blessings, synchronicities even. In chaos, you don't just feel better, you start seeing better. Shift from what's wrong to what's right. Every time you catch your mind spiraling, feeling anxious, angry, or overwhelmed, ask yourself, what can I be thankful for right now? What's one thing I'm glad I still have? What challenge is teaching me something important? This doesn't mean denying your pain. It means balancing your perspective. Gratitude doesn't erase struggle. It gives you strength to face it with a clear and grounded mind. How to practice gratitude effectively. Daily gratitude journal every morning or evening. Write down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for. Not just big things. Notice the small, often ignored blessings. Warm sunlight, a conversation, clean water, breath in your lungs. Consistency builds mental resilience. Gratitude in real time. When you catch yourself complaining, pause. Flip the script. Yes, this is frustrating, but I'm grateful I have the strength to handle it. This retrains your focus in the moment. Gratitude walks. Go for a walk without distractions. As you move, mentally list things you're thankful for. Let nature, movement, and mindfulness merge with appreciation. Gratitude before sleep. Before you close your eyes, reflect on one beautiful moment from your day. Sleep on gratitude, and you'll wake up lighter. The deeper power of gratitude. Gratitude is not passive, it's a conscious act of emotional leadership. It tells your mind, we're not going to drown in lack today. We're going to rise in appreciation. It shifts your nervous system from stress to peace, from survival mode to abundance mode, and perhaps most powerfully, gratitude pulls you out of your head and into your heart. It softens you, grounds you, reminds you that no matter what's going on, you still have something. And that something is a seed. And seeds, when appreciated, grow. Final thought. You can't always control your circumstances. You can't control what others do, or what life throws at you. But you can choose your focus. And if you focus on gratitude, even in your darkest days, you will find strength you forgot you had. You will feel emotions you thought were lost. And you will rise not because life got easier, but because your perspective got stronger. Gratitude doesn't change the world. It changes how you walk through it. Asterisk. 6. Environment shapes emotion. You may believe that your emotions come only from within, that they are purely personal, internal experiences. But the truth is deeper and more surprising. Your environment, what surrounds you physically, digitally, and socially, has a massive influence on how you feel, think, and behave. Just as a plant cannot thrive in polluted soil, your mind cannot remain peaceful in a toxic environment. The science behind it. Psychologists and neuroscientists have long known that external cues shape internal states. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment, picking up subtle signals, even ones you're not consciously aware of. A messy room can increase stress and make you feel overwhelmed. Constant noise, traffic, and overstimulation can make your nervous system feel unsafe. Watching violent or negative media can leave you agitated, even if nothing is wrong in your life. Being around negative people literally alters your brain's chemistry through emotional contagion. In short, your surroundings don't just influence your mood, they help create it. You become what you're around. Your emotions are sensitive. You might be doing everything right, meditating, eating well, journaling, but if your environment is draining, you'll still feel emotionally exhausted. Think about your current surroundings. What sounds are playing around you? TV, notifications, shouting, silence. What kind of energy do the people around you bring? Supportive, competitive, toxic, loving? What are you constantly looking at? Clutter, chaos, beauty, inspiration. What digital content are you consuming? Drama, fear, anger, empowerment. Now ask yourself, is this environment helping me stay emotionally balanced or making it harder? Clean your space, clear your mind. It may sound simple, but it's powerful. A clean, organized space can calm your brain. Clutter is not just physical, it's mental noise. When your surroundings are chaotic, your brain has to work harder to focus, But when you take the time to clean your room, make your bed, or organize your space, you're also telling your brain, I am safe. I am in control. It's not about perfection. It's about creating an external space that reflects the internal peace you are building. People are environments. The people you spend time with are one of the most powerful, emotional environments you'll ever experience. Being around negative, reactive, or critical people can infect you with low vibration, emotions, fear, anger, doubt, and anxiety without you even realizing it. On the other hand, people who are calm, kind, and intentional can lift your energy just by being present. Ask yourself, who drains me? Who supports me? Who do I become when I'm around certain people? Sometimes, emotional control isn't just about self. It's about distancing from those who constantly trigger emotional instability. Digital diet equals emotional hygiene. Your phone is an environment. Your social media feed is an emotional input stream. If you're constantly consuming drama, negativity, unrealistic beauty standards, fear-based content, it will show up in your mood, your self-esteem, and your anxiety. Be ruthless about what you follow. Curate your feed to reflect peace, growth, truth, and empowerment. Remember, you wouldn't let someone scream in your face all day. Why? Let them do it through your phone. Design your emotional sanctuary. You don't need a luxury home or perfect conditions. You just need intention. Add plants to your space. Nature calms the brain. Play calming music or silence. Use scents like lavender or sandalwood that relax your nervous system. Hang quotes, art, or symbols that remind you of who you are becoming. Choose lighting that soothes your eyes and mind. Make your environment reflect your desired state, not your current stress. Final thought. You don't just rise to the level of your mindset. You also sink or rise to the level of your environment. If you want to feel peaceful, create peace around you. If you want to think clearly, remove the clutter. If you want to control your emotions, control your inputs. Because when your environment is chaotic, calm becomes a fight. But when your environment supports you, calm becomes your natural state. Change what's around you, and you'll change what's within you. Asterisk 7. Label your emotions correctly. Have you ever said, I'm angry, when what you really felt was hurt? Or I'm fine, when deep down you were anxious, sad, or overwhelmed? Most of us were never taught how to accurately name our emotions. That lack of emotional language is one of the reasons we feel so mentally and emotionally stuck. Here's a powerful truth from modern psychology. When you name an emotion precisely, you reduce its power. This is called emotional granularity, and it's one of the most underused tools for gaining control over your emotional state. Why naming emotions matters. Your brain is a meaning-making machine. When you experience emotion without language, your mind struggles to process it. That's why unlabeled emotions often feel bigger, heavier, and more overwhelming. Think of emotions like incoming signals. If you don't label them, your nervous system just feels bad, weird, or off. But when you say, I feel disappointed, or I feel insecure, your brain shifts from emotional chaos to clarity. This helps activate the prefrontal cortex, the logical, problem-solving part of your brain, and calm the amygdala, the emotional fear center. Simply put, when you label emotions, you regain access to your power. Mislabeling equals mismanaging. One of the biggest emotional mistakes people make is misidentifying what they feel. For example, you say you're angry, but underneath, you're actually feeling disrespected, guilty, or scared. You say you're tired, but what you truly feel is emotionally drained, bored, or unmotivated. You say you're anxious, but you're really just uncertain or underprepared. Mislabeling leads to mismanagement. If you think you're angry when you're actually hurt, you'll react with aggression when what you need is healing. If you think you're anxious when you're just excited, you might retreat from opportunities you're actually ready for. Accurate emotional labeling allows you to choose better coping strategies. You can't treat the symptom correctly if you misdiagnose the emotion. Expand your emotional vocabulary. Most people can name just a handful of emotions: sad, happy, mad, scared. But there are hundreds of emotional states, each with their own nuance and message. Here are just a few alternatives to common emotions. Instead of angry, consider frustrated, irritated, offended, resentful, betrayed, disrespected. Instead of sad, consider lonely, rejected, grieving, ashamed, hopeless, unseen. Instead of anxious, consider nervous, insecure, threatened, anticipatory, vulnerable. When you can name what you feel with precision, your brain says, oh, now I know what this is. Let's deal with it. How to practice emotional labeling. Pause and tune in, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Don't rush. Be honest. Use a feeling wheel. A feelings wheel is a tool used in therapy to help people expand their emotional vocabulary. It starts with core emotions and breaks them down into more specific feelings. Keep one on your phone or print it in your journal. Say it out loud or write it down. Language is what helps emotions move from the subconscious to the conscious. When you speak or write your feelings, you begin the process of self. Be gentle with yourself. This is not about perfection. It's about getting closer to the truth. Sometimes you'll uncover layers. You might start with anger and discover beneath it there is grief or fear. That's okay. Final thought. Naming your emotion doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It allows you to step out of emotional confusion and into emotional clarity. Because once you see it, you can understand it. Once you understand it, you can heal it. And once you heal it, you're no longer choosing. So the next time you feel something rising in your chest or tightening in your gut, pause. Don't just say, I'm upset. Say, I feel misunderstood. Or I feel disappointed in myself. Or I feel disconnected from the people I care about. Give your emotions a name. Because what you can name, you can face. And what you can face, you can overcome. Asterisk. That's the person you become when you shift from reacting to responding. So next time you're challenged, insulted, triggered, or pushed to the edge, don't give them the reaction they're expecting. Give them the calm they didn't see coming, because reaction is the reflex of the ego. But response is the choice of the wise. And that choice is where your true power lives. Asterisk. Point 4. Rewire your inner dialogue. If someone followed you around all day, whispering in your ear that you're not good enough, that you always mess up, that you'll never change, you'd probably call that abuse. Right. But here's the truth. Most people ignore. That voice already exists. And it lives inside your own head. That voice is your inner dialogue, the constant, often unconscious stream of thoughts that shapes how you see yourself, how you feel, and how you behave. And the most powerful thing you can do to control your emotions and master your mind is to reprogram that voice. Your inner voice is a program just like a computer runs on code. Your mind runs on mental scripts. These scripts were formed from childhood experiences, past trauma, parental influence, culture, and even casual comments that got stuck in your memory. You might be carrying beliefs like, I'm not smart enough. People always leave me. Nothing ever works out for me. I can't control my emotions. These thoughts repeat in your mind so often that they feel like facts, even though they're not. The more you think them, the more you believe them. The more you believe them, the more you live them. This is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your life begins to reflect what you tell yourself, even if it's not true. Why it matters. Your inner dialogue doesn't just affect your mood. It literally programs your nervous system. If you constantly think negatively, your brain releases stress chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline, keeping you in a state of anxiety, fear, or sadness. But if your inner voice is empowering, calm, and supportive, your brain releases calming chemicals like serotonin and oxytocin, creating clarity, peace, and confidence. Your emotions follow your thoughts. Your actions follow your emotions. And your life follows your actions. That's why rewiring your inner dialogue is a life-changing skill. How to rewire it. Catch the thought. Begin by becoming aware of your inner dialogue. What do you say to yourself when you make a mistake, when you're alone, when you're rejected or disappointed? Start listening. You can't change what you can't hear. Challenge the thought. Ask, is this true? Is there evidence against this belief? Where did I learn this, and is it still serving me? This breaks the illusion of truth and gives you space to rewrite the script. Replace the thought. Take that limiting belief and flip it. I always fail. Gives, I learn from every setback. I can't handle this. Gives, I have overcome before. I will again. I'm too emotional. Gives, I feel deeply. And that's a strength. I'm learning to manage. Speak to yourself like you would to someone you love. Use affirmations intelligently. Affirmations are not magic, they're practice. Don't just repeat phrases mindlessly. Say them with emotion, with belief, with repetition. Your brain reads through consistency and emotion. Example, I am calm, even when life is not. Visualize your voice. Imagine your future self, wise, grounded, successful, speaking to you in a calm, reassuring tone. What would they say to you when you feel like giving up? Let that be the voice you listen to. Create a mental reset. Phrase when your mind starts spiraling. Have a go-to phrase like, this is just a thought, not the truth. Breathe, reset, respond. Peace is always available. I choose it now. Use it like a psychological reset button. Rewiring takes time. You've been speaking to yourself a certain way for years, maybe even decades. It won't change overnight. But with daily effort, it will change. And when it does, your emotions will stabilize. Your self-worth will rise. And your entire experience of life will begin to shift. Final reminder, the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. If you want to build peace, power, and emotional control, then the first step is this. Talk to yourself like someone you're becoming, not someone you're escaping. Talk to yourself like a warrior in training, not a failure in hiding. Talk to yourself like someone who deserves healing, not someone who deserves punishment. Because your inner dialogue becomes your outer reality. And when you rewire your inner voice, you rewrite your entire life. Asterisk 5. Feelings are not facts. Emotions are powerful. They can lift us to greatness or pull us into despair. They can spark life-changing decisions or cause devastating mistakes. But here's a truth that most people never learn. Feelings are real, but they are not always true. Feelings are valid, but they are not always facts. This distinction changes everything. Because when you treat every emotion as if it's the truth and challenged, unquestioned, you give it the power to control your thoughts, your decisions, and ultimately, your life. Why we confuse feelings with facts. The human brain is wired for survival, not truth. Your nervous system evolved to detect threat, not logic. So when you feel fear, your brain assumes danger. When you feel rejected, your brain assumes you're unworthy. When you feel sad, your brain whispers, something is wrong with you. But emotions are not objective reports of reality. They are subjective responses shaped by your beliefs, your past, your hormones, your sleep, your triggers, your diet, your memories, even your environment. You might feel unlovable, not because you are, but because you were once abandoned. You might feel like a failure, not because you failed, but because you were raised to believe that only perfection is good enough. You might feel anxious not because something is wrong, but because your nervous system is stuck in a loop of hypervigilance. In other words, your feelings are not always telling you the truth. They're telling you your perception. And perception is shaped by programming. The danger of believing every feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean you can't handle it. Feeling like giving up doesn't mean you're finished. Feeling unloved doesn't mean you're not loved. Feeling lost doesn't mean you have no direction. If you mistake temporary emotional states for permanent realities, you'll live in reaction, not intention. You'll make life-altering decisions based on passing storms. You'll break relationships, quit goals, retreat from life, all because you believed a feeling, instead of questioning it. How to handle feelings with wisdom. Pause and observe. When a strong emotion hits, don't immediately react. Instead, become the observer. Ask, what exactly am I feeling? Where is this emotion coming from? Have I felt this before? This awareness creates space between you and the emotion. Name it to tame it. Psychologists call this affect labeling. When you name your emotion, I feel ashamed or I feel disappointed, you reduce its intensity. This shifts brain activity from the amygdala, emotion center, to the prefrontal cortex, logic center. Challenge the story behind the feeling. Every feeling rides on a belief. If you feel not good enough, ask, is that actually true? Or is that an old story I've carried? What evidence do I have that supports or contradicts this? Emotion becomes manageable when the story behind it is questioned. Validate without obeying. It's okay to say, I feel angry, and that makes sense. But I don't have to act on it right now. You are allowed to feel your feelings. You are not required to act on all of them. Maturity is the ability to hold emotion without letting it take the wheel. Use emotion as a signal, not a command. Your feelings are messengers, not masters. They are signals that something inside you needs attention. Instead of suppressing them more, surrendering to them, listen, learn, and then lead yourself forward. Remember this, emotions are not enemies, but they're not always accurate. Just because it feels true doesn't mean it is true. You can feel broken and still be whole. You can feel afraid and still be safe. You can feel hopeless and still have purpose. The storm inside you is not permanent. The feelings you're drowning in today might be gone tomorrow. So don't let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Final thought. You are not your feelings. You are the awareness behind them. Let your emotions rise. Let them move. Let them speak. But don't let them define you. You are not here to be ruled by every passing wave. You are here to learn how to surf the ocean of your mind. And once you do that, once you stop mistaking feelings for facts, you become calm in chaos, clear in confusion, and powerful, even in pain. Asterisk. 1. Become aware of the inner world. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional and mental control. You cannot manage what you do not understand. You cannot heal what you cannot see. And you cannot grow beyond what you refuse to acknowledge. That's why the very first and most powerful step in mastering your emotions and thoughts is to become aware of your inner world. We all have an inner voice, but most of us live our lives disconnected from it. We rush through our days reacting to everything around us, without ever stopping to ask, why did I feel that way? Or what belief just got triggered? But here's the truth. Every emotion you feel, every thought you have, and every behavior you repeat has a root. And that root lives deep inside your subconscious mind. Your mind is like an iceberg. The small tip above water is your conscious thought, the part you know. But beneath the surface lies your programming, your beliefs, your fears, your traumas, your conditioning, and that is what truly drives your emotions and decisions. So how do you become aware of your inner world? It begins with observation without judgment. Start watching your emotions like a scientist. When something makes you angry, pause. Ask, what exactly triggered me just now? Was it what the person said or what it reminded me of? Have I felt this before? When you're anxious, ask, what am I afraid might happen? Is this fear real or is it a mental habit? This is the practice of emotional mindfulness, the ability to see your thoughts and feelings as events happening within you, not as permanent truths. Instead of saying, I am angry, say, I am experiencing anger. This small shift gives you space. That space is where control lives. You can also build self-awareness through journaling. Write down your thoughts and emotions daily. Patterns will begin to emerge. You'll start to see what you normally miss in the moment. Meditation. Sit quietly and observe your thoughts without trying to change them. Meditation trains your mind to stop identifying with every passing thought. Triggers. Pay attention to the situations or people that make you emotionally charged. These are clues to deeper beliefs or past wounds that are unhealed. Becoming self-aware doesn't mean you'll never get emotional again. It means you'll catch yourself sooner. It means instead of spiraling for days, you'll notice it in minutes. It means instead of blaming the world, you'll ask, what is this teaching me about myself? In psychology, this process is known as metacognition. Think about your thinking. It's the single greatest skill you can develop to upgrade your life. Because the moment you start to observe your emotions, instead of drowning in them, the moment you begin to see your thoughts instead of becoming them, you shift from being controlled by your mind to being in control of your mind. And that, right there, is where transformation begins. Asterisk 2. Pause. Then breathe in moments of emotional overwhelm. It's not intelligence, talent, or even experience that saves you. Your ability to pause and breathe. It sounds simple. Too simple, maybe. But don't underestimate it. Your breath is the remote control of your nervous system. And the power to pause is the gateway between a chaotic reaction and a calm, conscious response. Let's understand this on a psychological and biological level. When you're emotionally triggered, when someone says something hurtful, when you're embarrassed, stressed, or angry, your body activates the fight or flight response. This is a survival mechanism hardwired into your nervous system. Your heart rate increases, adrenaline floods your bloodstream, your muscles tense up, and your brain stops thinking clearly. You are no longer in control. Your biology is in that moment. You don't think, you react. You snap. You yell. You withdraw. You make decisions you later regret. But here's where your power lies. If, in that very moment, you simply pause for 3 to 5 seconds and take a deep breath, everything changes. Why? Because breathing is the only function of the body that is both automatic and under your control. When you breathe consciously, slow, deep, intentional breaths, you send a signal to your brain that says, I am safe. I am calm. There is no danger. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the rest and digest system. Your heart rate slows down. Your muscles relax. Your brain starts thinking clearly again. And most importantly, you become present. This is the moment where conscious choice becomes possible. Because when you pause and breathe, you're no longer a slave to your emotions. You become a witness to them. And in witnessing, you reclaim your power. This is why mindfulness coaches, therapists, monks, soldiers, even CEOs use breathing techniques under pressure. Because in the space of one breath, a storm can pass. A mistake can be avoided. A relationship can be saved. Here's how to practice the pause and breathe method. When triggered, pause. Don't speak, don't act. Just pause. Count to 3 silently if you must. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Feel your belly expand, not your chest, your belly. Hold your breath for 4 seconds. This creates focus and tension release. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds. Let go. Imagine the stress leaving your body. Repeat 3 to 4 times. You'll notice a shift in your mood, your thoughts, and even your posture. This small habit, this almost invisible practice, rewire your entire emotional experience over time. And here's the deeper truth. Every regret in your life could have been prevented with one breath. Every outburst, every overreaction, every decision made in anger, all could have been avoided with a pause. You don't have to respond in 5 seconds. You don't have to reply to that message right now. You don't have to defend yourself the second you're criticized. You can pause. You can breathe. You can choose. The most powerful person in the room is not the loudest, not the fastest, not the most aggressive. It's the one who is calm enough to breathe, wise enough to pause, and grounded enough to wait before they act. So remember this. Your breath is always with you. It's free, it's powerful, and it's yours. Next time you feel overwhelmed, angry, afraid, or confused, don't run. Don't react. Pause. Then breathe. Because in that breath lies your peace, your power, and your future. Asterisk 3. Response is power. Reaction is weakness. There is a deep difference between a reaction and a response. It might only be a few seconds in time, but that gap is where your entire life changes. A reaction is instant. It's emotional. It's impulsive. It comes from a place of fear, ego, and past wounds. A response is intentional. It's thoughtful. It's grounded in awareness, purpose, and self-control. Think about it. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment only to regret it minutes later? How many decisions have you made out of anger, fear, or pride that cost you peace, relationships, or opportunity? Reactions feel powerful in the moment, but they are actually signs of inner weakness. They come from the unconscious part of your brain, the amygdala, which processes threat and emotion. It doesn't think deeply. It doesn't consider long-term consequences. It just reacts. That's why a reactive person is easy to control. Say the wrong thing, they snap. Give them stress, they panic. Push their buttons, they explode. It takes nothing to shake them because they are not in control of themselves. But a person who can respond, that person holds true power. Why? Because they've learned how to sit in discomfort. They've trained their mind not to obey every emotional impulse. They choose conscious control over emotional chaos. This doesn't mean you suppress how you feel. It means you own how you feel, and then decide how to deal with it. Here's a powerful truth. You can feel anger without acting in anger. You can feel fear without becoming paralyzed. You can feel triggered and still choose grace. That's real strength. In psychology, this ability is called emotional regulation. It's one of the top predictors of success in every area of life, from leadership to relationships. People who regulate their emotions build trust, make wiser decisions, and stay calm under pressure. So how do you develop the power to respond instead of react? 1. Build self-awareness. Notice your patterns. What usually sets you off? What kind of comments or situations make you overreact? Awareness breaks the automatic loop. 2. Practice the pause like we covered in the previous point. When you're triggered, create space. Even 5 seconds of silence gives your rational brain time to catch up. 3. Ask, what outcome do I want? When you feel triggered, pause and ask, if I react emotionally, what's the cost? If I respond with clarity, what's the benefit? Let purpose guide your action, not just emotion. 4. Reframe the situation. Change your inner narrative. Instead of, they're disrespecting me, try, maybe they're going through something. Instead of, this is personal, think, this is not about me. 5. Use a grounding technique before responding. Do something physical. Take a breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Clench and release your fists. This pulls you back into your body and lowers the emotional charge. Responding doesn't make you soft, it makes you smart. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you, it means you don't let them control your inner peace. In fact, the people who respond instead of react are usually the most respected. Why? Because they don't bring drama. They don't add fuel to fire. They bring solutions. They bring calm. They bring presence. Think of a great leader, a wise teacher, or someone you admire. Do they lose their temper easily? Do they lash out when challenged? Or do they hold their ground, speak with purpose, and act with calm authority. That's the energy you're building.